Hey guys, welcome back. It's been 2.5 years in the making, and now we're in the final stretch as Landmark will officially go live for Trailblazers on Wednesday, June 8th, and then for the rest of the gaming world on Friday, June 10th. I'd like to thank all the Landmark subscribers who hung in there during these last 2.5 years. Thank you for all your support. All of this, of course, was made possible by the Daybreak team, who I'm grateful for as they provided us with an opportunity to get our first looks at the game throughout its development. As many of you may know, the game's foundation started with Sony Online Entertainment and then became Daybreak. The team and the community experienced quite a few changes during the course of the development. However, nothing was more pronounced than when the transition happened from SOE to Daybreak. There were, of course, quite a few team members that were affected, and some very familiar faces were no longer part of the team, but the remaining members stayed strong, regrouped, and kept pressing forward. We had an amazing group of community members, fellow content creators, Twitch streamers, who helped spread the message of Landmark, also those who participated in the SOE Insider program, and all this accumulated into the awesome opportunity to personally meet some of the team members at DragonCon here in Atlanta. Landmark is an amazingly beautiful game. The Forge Light engine combined with voxel technology introduced players to an entirely new dynamic that really set the game apart from anything currently in the gaming market. The feel of the game from a player character standpoint felt really solid, and this is what I wanted to try out as Landmark was providing the test drive for EverQuest Next. Being in the environment felt very immersive, despite the fact that we didn't have a lot of environmental factors or NPCs to interact with. Oftentimes we would have wanted to have seen some animal life to help dot the landscape with a little bit of life. However, this aspect was never introduced. The central focus of the game, of course, is that it's a building game, and a very unique building game, as players were incredibly resourceful, adaptive, and cleverly inventive. The voxel technology was new, but players were able to push the boundaries, manipulate game elements, and bend voxel science to their will. Players had the perfect environment to bring their imaginations to life, and we witnessed some extraordinary creations and what they had to offer even for the development team, who were adapting right alongside the players. The highlight of the game from a creator's perspective was being able to visit, interview, and interact with various players, along with my guildmates who were themselves pushing the boundaries of what the technology had to offer by stamping their capabilities on the landscape. Everyone seemed to punctuate and contribute something new, regardless of your building skill level. Players were able to express their creativeness and style, allowing them to pull off some rather incredible builds. The variety of creations were as varied as the personalities of the players. Landmark provides a sandbox experience that allows you the freedom to create the world you want. What really impressed me was that the players weren't intimidated by the often crude feel of the tools or the limitation of our choices of how to use the building tools. Players adapted and overcame some of the voxel limitations by genuinely thinking outside the voxel box, and were pushing the technology in new ways as they overcame some of the limitations. The level of cleverness and adaptability was as impressive as the builds themselves. During the course of the tours and interviews, players would explain how they were able to manipulate the props and existing voxels to get a result that made up for what the tools lacked. If you spent any time in the game, you'd certainly come to appreciate the value that these players had on other community members by opening up their claims for visitors to explore not only their creations, but what players called swaps, which consisted of prefabricated pieces that would allow you to create, correct, or expand upon something you were trying to achieve. What I mean by that is that the voxel world is a living world, and even the invisible air is part of the voxel environment. So when you're building and combining pieces, there may be an undesired effect to what you've just created. The team has worked really hard to reduce these anomalies. However, the complexity of voxel technology is a fickle creature, and I'm hoping that as the game moves into live, we'll see the technology and experience continue to improve. On a personal level, being able to spend time with these builders was an incredibly fun and rewarding experience. It was a great privilege to be right alongside the movers and shakers that were in the spotlight for their talent and amazing contributions to Landmark of Landmark builds, competitions, and community events. Fellow content creators were generous with their time, and although I wasn't able to collaborate with some of them, I was equally as entertained, inspired, and motivated by their contributions. I'm very grateful to have had the opportunity to participate in Landmark, and I'm hoping that as we move into live, people will come to value, appreciate, and enjoy this incredibly unique game. From the game's very humble beginnings to what we're experiencing up to this final week, the game has made tremendous leaps from where we all started. The level of dedication, tenacity, and stick-to-itness has really made my time in Landmark worthwhile, and I'm hoping that new players will get a sense of the wonder and be as inspired as many of us were when we spawned into the game for the first time. You can visit the earliest aspects of the game and travel along the path by clicking on this annotation that will unfold a playlist of all the various segments, updates, news, and happenings since closed beta. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'm looking forward to seeing how the game continues to progress. You can follow along with me by hitting that subscribe button so you'll have all the latest news from Daybreak and Landmark.